In the Vedic worldview, there's only one consciousness, which is also the scientific physics worldview. Coming out of lab science, we can show that there's actually not as many as two things in the universe. There's one thing, one indivisible, whole, oceanic, unified field, and it has waves in it. And the things that we think are particles are actually waves. I was having this conversation with somebody yesterday. The top physicists in the world today will tell you, and they'll be at great pains to tell you if you're a student of physics, there are no particles. Atoms are not actually particles, they're analogies for waves. They're not actually particles. All that's happening is the underlying field is vibrating. And when it vibrates, it creates these phenomena, these wave functions. In that sense, you're a wave function, I'm a wave function, everything's a wave function. Since there's only one thing, and it's an undulating thing, it's one, indivisible, and whole, it's also conscious, because consciousness exists. If consciousness exists, and all things that exist are properties of the one thing, then consciousness is the property of the one thing. You see? Very simple logic, not very twisty at all. And since consciousness exists, and there's only one thing, then that one thing is conscious. Does that one thing have free will? Evidently. You exist and you appear to have free will. Does it use its free will to determine things? Evidently. And so the one thing uses its free will to determine everything, and you are it. So you are living both free will and determinism simultaneously. Free will and determinism are not opposite ideas. They're in fact the same ideas. You can only have an argument about it if there are two consciousnesses. And there aren't two consciousnesses. There's only one consciousness. It decides what it wants to experience, and all of its waves or individualities are experiencing that. Now, if I separate myself from that one indivisible whole consciousness state, I don't meditate, and I start to conceive of myself as being only an individual, you know, I'm a wave in something and I don't know what it is, and I can't look down at my baseline, so I don't know what I am. I just seem to be a wave and there's all these other waves around. You know, that particulate way of thinking about oneself, you know, it creates problems. And the problems have to do with no connection with anything that's underlying and unifying. But that's not the way the universe is. It's one, indivisible, and whole, with both free will and the capacity to determine everything using its free will. So everything is a product of free will, and everything is determined by that free will, and you are that's doing all of it. That's the message of meditation. Individuality, in fact, is cosmic. It's like a funnel. Narrow end of the funnel, wide end of the funnel. A funnel is one thing. It's not two things. It has a wide catchment end, and it has a narrow end. If we've only been identifying with the narrow end of the funnel all the time, and we don't ever get to experience the wide end of the funnel, and we see a lot of other funnels around here, all these wide ends all meet in one place. So then we have the big self, which is all of us, and we have all individual outlets of that big self. We're all part of that. That is deep inside of all of us. And you know, so your own desires and wishes and thoughts and so on, I spent 8 hours talking about this yesterday. Your own desires and wishes and whatnot actually are not your individual ideas and thoughts and wishes. You are a construct of the unified field, and it's thinking through you. And your individuality is drawn into the whole party. But if you only see yourself as an individual, you might say, that's not fair. I want to have my own thoughts. I don't want to be governed by anything. Hold on for a sec. We're not talking about the universe as something separate to you. We're calling it big self, and it is big self. It's you. It's just that you haven't realized it yet. When you get cosmic consciousness, you have this wonderful realization. I am that which is causing all of this. I'm actually that. I'm not just this individual appendage. I'm actually totality having human experience. I'm totality having a human experience. I'm not just a human having a totality experience once in a while. I am totality having a human experience. That's cosmic consciousness. That's where you're headed. Now, if that's making your brain sizzle and smoke coming out of your ears, you can just forget about it all. Do your meditation twice a day, everything gets better.